All right, come on in. We're making the real deal kale fried rice. Okay, it's gonna taste like just takeout from the Chinese restaurant. Okay, it's gonna be really good. So let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna need a half a cup of the chickpea flour, some seasonings, which is 1.5 teaspoon of Indian black salt. Okay, this kind of has that egg flavor. It also smells like eggs too. And then a half a teaspoon of garlic, a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric powder. We'll need 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 cup of almond milk. You can use any non-dairy milk that you want, but this is any non-dairy milk will work. But this is just 1 cup of almond milk. Okay, so that's going to be it for the scrambled chickpea. Well, now for the stir-fried rice, to prepare that, you're going to need 3 cups of cooked rice. Make sure it's cold. We're going to need 1 cup of carrots and green peas, 3 scallions or green onions, and 1 bunch of fresh kale. Okay, and then we're also going to need 2 tablespoons of butter, vegan butter, to fry the stir-fried rice, and 2 tablespoons of soy sauce and olive oil for cooking. And you'll also need just a little bit of black pepper. We're not measuring that out. You can just toss it and put it in there according to your taste. Now for the tofu, the teriyaki tofu, we're going to need super firm organic tofu, or just super firm tofu. Okay, you want to make sure you get the super firm because this has more of a hearty texture and is perfect for this type of recipe. Okay, and a half a cup of teriyaki sauce and 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. Okay, that's where we're going to coat the tofu with the cornstarch. All right, let's start off by preparing the teriyaki tofu. So you're going to need that block of super firm tofu. I like this again because it's very firm, extremely firm, but I always like to press it with a paper towel just to remove any excess water. Okay, and we're going to cut this up into cubes. Okay, yeah, this is a good size here. Okay, so now since we're almost gonna deep fry the tofu, but not quite. But we're gonna batter it with coat the tofu with some cornstarch. So we're gonna use a large bag, and you're gonna put the tofu in here. That way, this bag just allows you to get the cornstarch evenly coated on the tofu. Okay, and then sprinkle in the cornstarch. Get it as evenly distributed as possible. And we're gonna shake up the bag like this. Move the bag around and get the tofu as evenly coated with the cornstarch as possible. Now, if you feel like you need to add more cornstarch, you can add that in. Okay, this is good. When your pan is preheated, you're gonna drizzle in some olive oil. Okay, spread that olive oil around. You just want the pan fully coated with the olive oil. And put in your tofu. Okay, and you're gonna cook this on medium-high, actually a little higher than medium-high heat, because we wanna get this nicely toasted and brown. So you're gonna cook this on that temperature for about 10 minutes, and make sure you check on it regularly and toss it around. All right, now while that tofu is cooking, we're gonna start to prepare the kale. Okay, and you're gonna preheat another pan on medium-high heat. Okay, now while that's heating up, we're gonna prepare the kale. Make sure you fully wash it, and we're gonna remove the stems. Okay, destem the kale by tearing, just kind of tearing the leaf on each side of the stem, and then strip it up, the stem, just like that. Just like this. All right, let's check in on this tofu. Give it a little love, toss it around. Okay, just kind of flip the tofu, each one of these, so that way they're all evenly fried. All right, let's get back to this kale and tear it up into bite-sized pieces. Make sure there's no loose stems hanging out. Take them out if you do see them. All right, so once that pan is hot, you're gonna drizzle in some olive oil. Okay, pour in the kale to the pan. Toss that around. And we're gonna cook this on medium heat for about 5 minutes, but I actually want to add in some water in here because we're going to steam it so that way it can cook. Okay, let it steam for about 3 to 5 minutes on medium heat. Okay, now in the chickpea flour, we're going to combine all of the seasonings into the chickpea flour first. So our nutritional yeast and our seasoning mixture of the turmeric, garlic powder, onion powder, and Indian salt. Okay, and mix these ingredients thoroughly. Okay, so you combine all your dry ingredients first, and then we're going to combine these liquid ingredients. So the apple cider vinegar and the almond milk, I'm going to just pour right into this milk so we can make sure this gets fully mixed in. Okay, and then we're going to slowly pour this in to our chickpea flour mixture. You don't want to pour it too fast because otherwise you're going to have clumps. You want to look around the measuring cup just to make sure there's no flour on the side. Okay, make sure you fully mix all of that in. Okay, once the kale is cooked, you're gonna drain off the water, and then we're gonna remove it from the pan and set it aside. We're gonna turn the pan back up to medium high heat. Let that get let the pan get more hot. And then once that gets hot, we're gonna drizzle in some olive oil. Okay, while that pan is preheating, we're gonna add in our teriyaki sauce because this tofu is done. Yep, this is done. You can hear the crisp. You can feel it when you toss it around. Now you might want to have some of that teriyaki sauce on standby if you feel like you want some more. Okay, fully mix this around and make sure the sauce is fully coating the tofu. Okay, we're gonna leave that alone and set that aside. Okay, now when we make this scrambled chickpea, it's gonna be crucial that your pan is hot. Okay, otherwise it's gonna stick and it's just not gonna work out as well. So you really need to make sure your pan is hot. You can test it out by putting in some water in the pan. Once it sizzles, you know it's ready. Okay, spread the oil around as much as you can. Okay, and we're gonna pour in our mixture, our chickpea mixture. Okay, you've got to make sure you hear that sizzle when you pour in the batter, before you pour in the batter. That's so important. Otherwise, it's just not gonna work as expected. So make sure your pan is high and make sure you watch it. So after about 30 seconds to a minute, we're gonna start to scramble this. While that's cooking, we're going to cut up our green onions. Okay, so this is good. Starting to bubble up, so we're gonna start to scramble this. Okay, you don't want to stir it too much too soon yet because you want to allow it to cook and form. Okay, now if you feel like you need to add extra oil, you can do that to make sure it doesn't burn or stick. Yeah, see, this is a little doughy, so we have to just allow it to be patient and allow it to sit and crust up a little before scrambling it too much. Okay, so once it starts to brown up on both sides, start to separate it out with the spatula. Okay, so you do have to be patient with this, the chickpea scramble. It could really take about 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so this is basically done. It's kind of brown on both sides. You're still going to have that slight doughy texture, and that's fine. But if you don't like that, you can continue to cook it longer. Okay, so we're going to push this to the side, and we're going to start to saute this kale. Basically saute the vegetables. We're going to start to saute the vegetables. So the green beans and carrots and the kale. So let's start to add a little bit of butter, about half the butter to the pan. The green beans and carrots, and then the kale. I'll continue to cook everything on high for a couple minutes. Now we can start to mix all this together. And then add in our rice. Okay, and give this a really good stir so everything is fully combined. Okay, continue to cook this on high for about 5 minutes or so. And make sure you continuously or regularly stir to make sure it's not sticking or burning. Let's add in the rest of the butter. Okay, so this is looking good. So we're going to add in the green onions. Okay, I added in the green onions last so we can retain the flavor. Okay, and then we're going to add in, you got to have soy sauce for Chinese food, of course, right? So we got to add in our soy sauce. Now, this is only 2 tablespoons, so you put in the soy sauce according to your taste. Okay, let that cook for another minute or so, and then it will be ready. Okay, now you can add a little black pepper on top. Just sprinkle a little bit on there. And it is ready to serve. So there you have it, the real deal kale fried rice and teriyaki tofu. So it almost looked like I should have just put it in a takeout box, but it's really just seemed like I just got this right at the Chinese restaurant. You guys are gonna love this.